Presiding Officer, it's perhaps no surprise that it should be the SNP who brought forward the Islands Bill, because we are the only political party here, as far as I'm aware, who has previously owned an island, Eilean Mor McCormack, that was gifted to our then party leader in 1979. It's now put on a slightly different footing, and there's a trust which is a registered charity that looks after that island. I look forward to the new arrangements for electing councillors, leading to one person living on Eilean Mor McCormack electing themselves as a councillor and serving accordingly for that island. It's worth having a wee look back in the history of how some of the things happen. 100 years ago, if you lived in Tarbert Harris, you were part of a council who had its headquarters in Inverness. And if you lived in Stornoway, you were part of a council that had its headquarters in Dingwall, because one was in Inverness and the other was in Ross and Cromarty, which was the most idiosyncratic way of looking at things, notwithstanding the intense rivalry between the people of Harris and the people of Lewis. In more modern times, when the postcodes were first introduced after a trial in Norwich in the early 1960s, the postcode for Stornoway was a PA postcode. In other words, it was a Paisley postcode because the first-class mail was sorted in Paisley, the second-class mail, I beg your pardon, was sorted in Paisley. And, of course, the aircraft came from an aerodrome, Glasgow, which was in Paisley, to transport the mail up to Stornoway. Now we have a postcode that reflects the character and individuality of the area, HS. I've no idea where the HS comes from, but that's for Hebrides. I've just had whispered in my right ear. See, you can learn something every single day. One of the things that the debate has done is written Tavish Scott's obituary. It's something which I hope is not required for many years to come, because when his obituary is published, it will have at the top of the page the man who saved Shetland from obscurity by getting the amendment that puts Shetland in its proper place in the cartographer's world. Now, it's not a trivial matter. It's not just an emotional matter. I remember in the early 70s at the Bank of Scotland, we were doing an exercise, a modelling exercise, mathematical modelling exercise to try and work out what a branch network should be. Amazing how some things come back again, isn't it? And we were looking at how far people might have to travel to different branches. And a company in London was doing the data prep. And when we did the first run of the model, the results look a bit odd, because apparently Lerwick branch should be getting customers from Elgin and the coast of the Murray Firth. And of course, such a gross error you could notice, because they hadn't realised in London that Shetland wasn't in the Murray Firth, and they had mapped it according to its being so. So there are practical effects to some of the things that we see. It's been an interesting debate. My little contribution to the islands is I was the privilege of being the minister who brought RET to the islands and other places, although I gather it's not 100% popular, but I haven't really met the people with whom it's unpopular. We now move, Presiding Officer, to get off the purple paper and onto the vellum. The parliamentary beehives will be working overtime to provide the beeswax which will create the seal on this excellent bill. I wish it bon speed and every success to our island communities.